Our boys are back in the video today talking about the players on the Houston Rockets that are projected to have a breakout season next year. Obviously, with our team being very young and having a lot of promising young starts. So what's up? My name is Jae'sean. That's the video. Drop in below, press subscribe button, and see the video. So, I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media lately talking about some young players having some basically potential having a breakout season next year, and obviously the number one being for Houston Rockets fans is Kevin Porter Jr. Now, I think Kevin Porter Jr. honestly, I think he's pretty slated to have a breakout season next year. Obviously, like over the season, had some really solid stats for only playing in 26 games. I mean, he averaged 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. Really good stats from KPJ overall. His season splits from the field aren't that bad too. I mean, 43% from the field, not all that bad. 31% from the three, which all isn't that too great, but he can get that higher. I mean, honestly, like last year he shot what? I think it was like around 32%, so like around a 1% higher than what he did this year. So yeah, he did shoot. Yeah, he did shoot 32% from three. Okay, so yeah, for the most part, I mean, like KPJ, like he's obviously like not known for his shooting, but he can shoot the ball if he wants to. So, getting back on topic here, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is definitely slated to have a breakout season next year. Because obviously, like we're drafting Jalen Green if we don't get Cade Cunningham, kind of the obvious point there. So, KPJ and Jalen Green, like that's a good duo right there. I think Jalen Green could be slated to have a really good season next year too. I mean, like assuming that we do trade John Wall, then I think those two could honestly be projected to have really good seasons next year. I think KPJ could be a 20 and 10 guy, to be honest. I mean, he can get 20 points per game and 10 assists per game. I think he could be that type of guy. Probably won't happen. I think he'd get like maybe 19 points per game, maybe 7 assists, and probably like the same amount of rebounds, 4 rebounds. So probably like 19, 4, and 7. That's what I'm projecting for KPJ to go, assuming that he doesn't get any injuries. So yeah, for that part, I mean, I think those are pretty reasonable stats. Just a little bit higher from what he did this year. I think Jae'sean Tate's also projected to have a really good year next year, and KJ Martin. I mean, Jae'sean Tate and KJ Martin, although like they didn't really start off the season all that well, they did start turning up around the end of the year, especially KJ Martin in the month of May, I want to say, where he was dropping basically like almost double digits each game. Over the season, averaged 9 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist in just 45 games played. So I think KJ Martin could be a solid maybe 12 and 6 guy, 12 points per game and 6 rebounds around there. I think that's pretty fair for the type of caliber player he is. And Jae'sean Tate, over the season, he did average 11 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. So I think Tate could get up to maybe 12 points per game and 6 rebounds per game, and probably like 3 assists. So like a little bit higher than what he did this year. But I think his shooting splits would probably go up a lot more than what it did this year, because he did shoot 51% from the field, which is good. But then he shot 31% from 3, which isn't all that great. But I think he definitely can get that 3 ball higher. He just that's his one weakness in his game, is that he just can't shoot the ball at all. Same thing with KJ Martin. Although he did get his 3-point percentage all the way up to 37% from 3 at the end of the season, he just overall he isn't really a consistent shooter. So I think the both of them could use some work on their 3-point shot, but their overall game is absolutely amazing. Not absolutely amazing, but what I get. I mean, KJ Martin, he saw some stuff to work on his game. Same thing with Tate, but they both have some really good games. I think Armani Brooks is also another player that could be slated to have a breakout year off the bench if you decide to trade Eric Gordon for the 13th pick in the draft, maybe Gordon and the 23rd or 24th pick for Indiana's 13th. I think Armani Brooks could definitely be our 16th or 6th man off the bench. I mean, he already was doing really good for us right out of the G League, averaging 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. His 3-point shot is really good, 38% from 3 in just 20 games. Obviously 20 games is not a really big sample size, but 38% from 3, you can't really downplay that, because honestly, he's a really good shooter, man. I'm not gonna lie, he really is. He can definitely pull it from deep. He just needs some more playing time. I mean, he's only averaging 26 minutes per game, so I think Brooks could definitely be our 6th man if he works on defense. His weakness is also defense. I mean, you just can't play defense for his life. But he can drive the ball. He can dunk the ball. I've seen some flashes around the end of the season where he'd be so confident just taking the ball, taking the contact, driving to the rim. So that's what I like about Brooks. He kind of reminds me kind of like Eric Gordon, but just a little bit slower. Gordon, like obviously, like he's a vet. He has all experience, but I think he can learn from Eric Gordon as a mentor. So just assuming that we do trade Gordon, I think I could see Brooks as our sixth man coming up, stepping up as that sixth man. So I like that for the most part. Like those are really the only four like young players I see to have a breakout year. John Wall is kind of an interesting player too, because assuming that he doesn't have any injuries next year, he could honestly be slated to have a really good year next year. Obviously, like he didn't have a really bad year this year. I mean, averaged 21 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists. Like that's some really good stats in just 40 games played and 32 minutes played per game. So not really that bad from John Wall. He did shoot 40% from the field and 32% from 3, which isn't all that bad. But just assuming that he doesn't have any injuries, I think he could get up to maybe like 22, 23 points per game. And honestly, like probably like 8 assists if he wants to. So just assuming that he doesn't have any injuries. Obviously, like every Houston Rockets fan knows that he is injury prone. He got sidelined at the end of the season because of a hamstring injury. So just assuming that John Wall doesn't have any injuries, which I highly doubt, he probably could be slated to have a really good season next year. And honestly, like the final player is obviously Christian Wood. I mean, he already did have a really good season this year. Obviously averaging 21 points per game, 10 rebounds and 2 assists. 20 and 10 guy, man. I mean, obviously, like we all knew what Christian Wood was capable of at the start of the season. Obviously being absolutely amazing. I think a season opener he dropped to 31 points and then 10 rebounds. So Christian Wood, like we all know we can do, but I think he can get up to at least 23 points per game and 10 rebounds or 11 rebounds, honestly. So just assuming that everything goes right, Christian Wood, like I think he needs to be more confident with the ball. And he needs to demand the ball more. I mean, like we're not giving Christian Wood the ball enough. So I think Christian Wood could be slated to have an even better season than this one. So for the most part, I think all these guys could have some really good seasons. It just really depends on the circumstances of the season and if we actually are winning. So that's in the video. Drop in below, press subscribe button, and well, peace.